Welcome. My name is Terry Wolf. I'm one of the volunteers here, and tonight is our first Sister Bay Stories program, the history of early Sister Bay in postcards. This is a little bit different program than we normally do. We normally have like a 40-minute presentation, but tonight we're going to just make it short and have you walk around after we're done and take a look at the exhibit. In fact, I thought, I'm going to make this short. I said to Debbie, hang on, just 20 minutes, She said, how about 5? So that's my goal, 5 minutes. So let me tell you about how this project developed. It's really because of Roberta Champeau here, our board member, that this project developed. It was her idea to do it. And originally we were going to do a series of postcards from the 1900s on through the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. And what we quickly realized was that what's missing from those later cards are the messages. And the messages are what tell the stories of people in Sister Bay. And so what we found in turn was that we did have cards with messages, but they were from the early 1900s. And so that's what this exhibit has become, a history of Sister Bay in the early 1900s, and the messages that on these cards that people were using to talk about life in those times. So what we have, I'll just take you a quick tour of the boards. So board behind me, the evolution of postcards, gives you the full history, how postcards started in Europe and in the late 1800s and became an international craze. And in the United States, they took off in the early 1900s. And in fact, there's this so-called golden era of postcards, if you're a real postcard nut. Golden era was 1907 to 1915. And actually, that's what most of our cards are from. So millions of postcards were being sent through the mails in that period of time. Many of them manufactured in Germany. Cards were like 2 for a nickel, and you could send them for a penny. But that craze ultimately waned due to 2 things, mainly: telephones and tariffs. And you can learn more about how that happened on this board back here. Now, the other thing that we have up here is an artifact that is from the Razor family that Roberta has offered for our program this evening. And this is a Kodak camera from the early 1900s that was developed specifically for the purpose of being able to print the image directly onto a postcard. And that helped propel the popularity of postcards in that time. And so take a look at that very cool item. Then over here, let's take you around here. So two boards here on the Anderson family. So just a quick reminder, most of you know, but who are the Andersons? Emma and Alex Anderson. These are the 2 folks who, with their little children, lived in the Anderson house in the 1910s. So thanks to the preservation of postcards sent to them in the early 1900s, we've got this exhibit, and thanks to the Anderson descendants who have saved those cards. So that's the Andersons. Then over here, all right, over here the cards are about Sister Bay, around town and at the waterfront. And then what we also have are albums of postcards. So there's an album of Anderson postcards on this table and an album here. You feel free to leaf through those, and you might have to do some twisting and turning to see the messages. And then over here, some more cards of old Sister Bay. And then over here, this is a plat map from 1899. So kind of ties into where were people who owned the properties back in the era that we were talking about. So that's, you can also see, well, who owned the property that I'm on today at that time? Okay, so there's a lot here, I realize that. And so I was thinking this afternoon, what is it about these cards that actually are interesting? Because there's a lot to sift through here. So I'm just going to point out a couple of them that I thought might be particularly noteworthy. So this card right here, this card was sent by Munda Anderson. And so let me back up a second. Many of you know, but not everybody, that the Andersons who lived here are connected to the Andersons of Ephraim. Okay? So Alex Anderson's uncle was Aslag Anderson, who built the dock and the store in Ephraim. And Miss Munda, ran that store for many years. Miss Munda was Alex's cousin. So she is sending a card to the family. And not only is it interesting just that connection, but this card itself is interesting because I mentioned earlier that many of the cards were produced in Germany. Take a look at this card when you get a chance. This card is a painting that was reproduced, and it was offered by a British company that fancied themselves as the photographers or artists to the king and queen. So 2 for a nickel, and you get this kind of a card. Another thing that's interesting to me about these cards is, anybody could see them, right, when you're sending them through the mail. I guess, of course, the post office not looking at all the cards, but nevertheless, so this is a card from Emma's sister where she marks the card personal. It's like, but she was smart. She not only marked it personal, she wrote the card in Czech, the Czech language. Their mother was from Bohemia, so that it really was personal, unless the postmistress could read Czech. Let's come over here for a second. So here's a card that connects to this property. So this card is to a guy named Frank Anderson. Frank Anderson was the brother of Grant Anderson, who is the guy that built the Little Sister Resort and the Little Sister Barn that we're converting to a year-round history center. So this is Frank, brother of Grant, and he's getting this card from Mama. And Mama was Swedish, father was Norwegian. Mama writes this card to Frank in Swedish. And so take a look at this one and see the nice message that Mama sent to Frank. Over here, here's one, lots of interesting pictures of the waterfront. And the message on this one says, this is 1909. The message says, Sister Bay is just the same as ever, all on the bum, whatever that means, but it doesn't sound good, but so just lots of interesting little messages on these cards. This is not obviously a comprehensive collection. There are more cards. If anybody here has more cards like this, we'd love to take them, scan them, and return them to you. Behind you, there's a DVD playing that is a postcard DVD put together by a guy named Richard Lauder 15 years ago. And so we play this on a loop during tour season, and it's very interesting. But what I think we have that DVD does not have is the stories that go along with the people who sent these postcards. Let's see. So let me do the thank you to all the people who need to be thanked for this exhibit. So start with the people who provided the postcard. So like I said, it's the Anderson family descendants who enabled us to have these. Celeste Diefenbaugh also is one who provided a lot of the cards that are represented over here. Many of you know Celeste, daughter of Bernie Hagedorn. And John Nelson also supplied some. And so then Fred Johnson, years ago with John Nelson, had a project to receive photos and postcards and scan those. And Fred scanned literally thousands of pictures and hundreds of postcards. And it's because Fred scanned those at a high quality rate that we've got pictures that are as clear and nice to look at as these. And then we've got Roberta here, Roberta Kutlick, who assembled all these cards the first round into albums that we had sitting out in the Anderson house. Then the folks who helped with the exhibit, we've got to thank Bob Jischke, who's not here, but Bob built all these boards. Bob built this stand for Roberta's camera. That's just Bob. So, and then John Lejeski, who has the aesthetic look and touch to have come up with the idea for the coloring that made this look like it does. Lisa O'Hearn, who did the graphics and other related work that really made it possible to put these out the way that they're showing. Tremendous work.
And of course, Terry is being too modest to take any credit for this. This is the man that pulled it all together. This is the man that wrote the text. This is the man that really made it happen. So if we're going to applaud anyone, there's the guy.
Thanks. Thanks, John. But my last thank you was to Debbie, who was patient enough to let me cover every flat surface in our house with postcards. And also provided moral support. What else? Let's see, last thing.
Roberta's idea?
Oh, I think I said Roberta at the outset, that Roberta is the one whose idea created this in the first place, yes. So let me say it again if you didn't hear it. It was Roberta Champeau's idea to do this exhibit in the first place. Okay, so when you look at these boards, I mean, there's a lot of information there, so if you find something doesn't seem correct, I won't be shocked. You can let us know gently. I think that's what we wanted to tell you about, and I missed my 5-minute goal, I get it. You're free now to take a look at the boards. Please help yourself to the refreshments. I find that some of the refreshments make the boards look better. Debbie, yes. Oh, okay. We do have a small collection of postcards that have some of the images here.
Yeah, I mean, these are from the Sister Bay Centennial.
Yes.
So they're, for sale.
Yeah.
It's a deal, a deal. Two for a nickel.
Right. They're 50 cents a piece, so you have to buy two because we don't have any quarters. Okay. That's it. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.